Hello and welcome. I'm Jonathan,
And I'm Amy.
and this is J&A.
Travel Day.
What's going on, everyone?
Hello. So today we're going to talk about Erie Canal adventures, which I think could be the most obscure vacation that we may ever go on. I feel like it's the one that when people hear about it, they just want to know every detail because they didn't even know this was a thing that you could do.
Yeah, and before we go into some of those details, just want to thank you all for continuing to like and subscribe to our channel. It really does help with our videos.
Yeah. So basically, one day Jonathan came home from work and said, I think we should do Erie Canal adventures.
Yeah, I found out from a coworker who had done the trip as well, and they really recommended it as they know both Amy and I love to cruise.
Yeah. And basically, what you're doing is you rent a houseboat for, I think, 3 days is the minimum, up to 7 days. And you just cruise along the Erie Canal at your leisure, pick ports along the way, and just kind of live on your own in this houseboat.
Yeah, so if you're flying in from out of state or out of town, the easiest way would be to arrive into the Rochester airport. That's pretty close to where you will be taking the boat out of. And then on departure morning, you will actually head over to Macedon, which is a small town in upstate New York.
Yeah, so you meet up with the Erie Canal Adventure folks. And for us, when we rolled in with 2 suitcases and a couple carry-ons, we got some looks. We might be overpackers. One of those suitcases, though, was food. So while there might have been judgment, I think we packed wisely.
Yeah, and we'll go into a little bit about what you should and shouldn't bring for this 7-day adventure, or if you're doing a little shorter, the shorter adventure. But not to worry, when you arrive there, you do have some time to unpack. And what they will do is they will tell you, this is the time class will start. And class is a 3-hour class that goes through the boat basics, everything you're going to need to know, the canal routes, and then actually hands-on training with how to go into and out of a lock, because there are going to be a few locks that you encounter along your journey, and then also what to do when you approach a lift bridge.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I am kind of a nervous Nelly. The idea of living on this houseboat is one thing, but having to get myself through a lock, that was something else. And I was a little bit nervous, but the class was completely thorough. I left the class feeling confident in our abilities. Luckily, there's a lock very close to where the training is. So they give you a brief just how to drive the boat, which this was my captain. I was the cruise director. And luckily there was a lock right there. So we were able to practice hands-on. And I would say you need at least 2 people. I don't think you could get through a lock just as a solo traveler.
No, and it would be very difficult. You have someone on the bow, someone on the stern, and the person towards the back of the boat is also controlling speed, forward, backwards, and the thruster. So definitely 2 people are needed for this journey. But some people go with 4, 6. They split it up into 2 boats. So it's really a choose your own type of journey. And when we were going through some of the planning phases, you can go on the Erie Canal Adventures site, and what they'll do is they'll actually give you some sample itineraries that you can go off of, or you can really just create your own depending on how busy or not busy you want to be.
Yeah, and then there was this fantastic book that his friend provided us, and we did flip through prior to going on the boat. But funny enough, it's also provided by the Erie Canal Adventure folks, and it's on your I almost said ship. It's on your boat, and it gives you every detail you could think of. It labels every overpass, every bridge, every lift bridge, every lock, and you can track your progress down the Erie Canal by counting these bridges or locks or what have you, to figure out where you are and what to expect coming down the canal.
So while the book was a great resource to know how long it was going to take to go from town to town, and also how many bridges that we're going to come across along the journey, the one thing that we do recommend, actually we have 2 tips for you. The first one, check your lift bridge operating times as well as your locks. They don't operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So it is important to make sure that they're going to be operating during the times you need them to be operating. And don't get me wrong, they do operate most of the day. They just close down by 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. So you just don't want to get stranded where you don't want to be. The second tip we have, so what we did encounter numerous times during this journey, the places that we wanted to go to, the operating times on the internet did not always align.
And it was also a holiday weekend that we went. So these are a lot of mom and pop places that you're going to want to go to. So they want to take a long weekend, and they can.
So just call ahead, make sure that they're going to be open, because you don't want to rely on the times that you see on the internet.
Definitely. And I will say the Erie Canal Adventure folks, they couldn't give you the times for like restaurants, but they do give you a sheet that kind of breaks down the operating hours of most of the locks and lift bridges, probably all of them, if I remember correctly. And it's just there for you on your boat, so you can kind of gauge, especially that first day, how far you want to go, because it's a half a day on that first day you're on the boat.
Yeah, so as we step on our boat, the boat's name was the Oneida, and that was ingrained in our head because every time you approached a lift bridge or a lock, you had to call to the lift bridge operator or lock operator and say your boat name. Exchange Street Lift Bridge, Exchange Street Lift Bridge, Exchange Street Lift Bridge. This is the Oneida requesting passage westbound.
Oneida, this is Exchange Lift Bridge operator. I will clear traffic and get the bridge up and on your way.
I copy. Thank you very much. We walk on board. It's a 34-foot boat, so not a small boat. And the back portion obviously is where we would be navigating from. It is an outdoor area, but it is covered. The one thing we would recommend for this area is bring a seat cushion, because it is a wood bench and you do spend a lot of time out there, especially if you are cruising for an extended period of time.
Yeah, and we looked out because our boat, at least on the one bench, did have a seat cushion, but that's not guaranteed that it comes with that. So I would say maybe bring something.
Yes. And then you walk down the stairs into the boat itself, and on the left-hand side was our bed. And it was a full-size bed that we had in there. Honestly, between the both of us, we were not crowded at all. We had plenty of room.
Yeah. And they also had a little fan that they provided, which is great for me because I sleep with a fan. So I was very excited to see that.
Yes. And then on the right-hand side was our shower and our sink and then our toilet. The shower, full hot water shower. So there is a hot water heater on the boat that you get to start up for yourself to ensure you have hot water. And then sink and toilet were right next to that.
Yep. And then there's a small broom closet, which worked out for us because, as I said, we had a lot of luggage, but we were able to unpack our suitcases. They had plenty of drawers for any of our clothes and other miscellaneous items. And in that broom closet, we were able to shove our suitcases. So we still had plenty of space just around the boat. And actually, before you leave, when you're in training, someone comes on your boat and the guy maybe made a comment that he was impressed we were able to fit everything.
Yeah. And then we go into our full kitchen. So when we talk kitchen, you're talking, you have a stovetop, you have an oven, you have a microwave. They give you a K-cup maker, refrigerator and freezer. We were not sure if there would be just a refrigerator. It did have both. So you can bring frozen items onto the boat and use that throughout your journey as well. And then there is a pull-out bed, so you can sleep more than 2 people on the boat. And then at the front, the very front of the boat was the outdoor seating area, which can act as a screened-in seating area. So the weather was beautiful when we went, so you can open the windows, close the windows, and use it as your little dining area.
Yeah, and they also provided any cups, plates, some soap. We didn't know if they were going to give like paper towels, toilet paper. They did get a starting supply. So for the 2 of us, it lasted quite a while, but part of the luggage was all those things we brought, not knowing that they would provide some of that at the beginning.
Yeah, the items that we recommend going out and buying is if you're a coffee drinker, go buy some K-Cups. I know not the best coffee that you're going to drink. However, it's just convenient. Bottles of water were good to have. Any sodas that you may want to drink. We ended up buying some frozen food as well as burgers and steaks because they do give you a little propane grill that you can have, and then you can go out and at night barbecue right off the boat. So definitely bring food items. The other thing that we really like to do is while we were cruising to the next location, we would have lunch on board. So Amy was great at making some grilled cheeses with really a Monte Cristo. But it was a good lunch to have, and it held us over as we'd be cruising down the Erie Canal for anywhere between 2 and 6.5 hours a day.
Yeah, and they also notated for us where a grocery store is along the way. So you're able to resupply as you go if you have some eaters on your boat. We knew from the start that we wanted to do the westbound itinerary. And I kind of was dreaming up my own itinerary leading up to this because I'm quite a planner. And so I thought it would be really fun to do an overnight in Rochester. But we did get to Rochester from the flight about 2 days, a day and a half before boarding the boat. And we kind of saw all the sites we wanted to see. And then once we got to the class, it kind of confirmed our feelings that maybe we skip over Rochester, because a gentleman did mention they no longer recommend overnighting in Rochester, New York. It's in downtown, and he said it's just not the safest at night. So we did kind of forego our plans at going into Rochester, at least for an overnight, and stuck to one of their itineraries that they recommend.
Yeah, so during the training course that Amy had mentioned, they do take you through a lock. So we're going to see a little bit right now on the lock process, but we each had our own job.
Yeah, so my job was the most difficult. I, at the front of the boat, would sit in my nice little cushioned bench and hang out the door slightly, or the window, and they gave you gloves. I just hung on to my little rope once he got me close enough and hung on for dear life. That was basically my job.
And it wasn't bad. You just hang on as the boat is either raising or lowering to the next location. But for me, my job at the back of the boat was a little bit involved. So I was in control of the speed, whether it be forward or backward, as well as the direction. And then once I got us close enough to the wall of the lock, I was also responsible for holding on to that back line. And every lock was slightly different in terms of water flow and pressure. So some locks, super easy. Hold on with one hand and just ride the wave up. Other locks, you really had to work your way into the wall. And then once you were there, keeping a little bit of power to keep that boat as close to the wall as possible. But honestly, the locks ended up being one of our most favorite parts of the journey because they were a lot of fun. And you're going to see a little bit later on in one of our stops, we actually get into a double lock.
Yeah. And honestly, like he mentioned, I thought I would hate the cruising part. I was scared of the locks. I was nervous about the lift bridges. I was scared of the little walkie-talkie thing in order to call the other people. But I ended up loving it. And kind of the small towns we went to were second to just cruising the canal throughout the day. I think I would be more than happy doing that all day and then just popping into the town for dinner.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So as we started our journey westbound, our first stop was Pittsford, and honestly could not have been a better first stop. It was super easy to walk around, had a bunch of different locations to eat at, and just honestly, just a really fun spot to start our adventure.
Yep. So we relied on random like Google reviews, Yelp reviews. So in Pittsford, we stopped at Simply Crepes, which was so good. I had a chicken cordon bleu crepe.
Yeah, and I had a curry crepe, phenomenal. But the one thing that did steal the show was our appetizer. It was a crepe chip with a regatta dip. It was just phenomenal.
So good.
Drizzled with honey. So good.
So good.
So good.
And then we went to Pittsford Farm Dairy, and the ice cream was so good. They have a little shop that you can buy, I think, like cakes and pies and that kind of thing. But for a small town, that line was out the door. People came from all the surrounding area. So Pittsford was booming relatively.
Yeah, I would say it was one of our busiest stops that
For
we
sure.
saw along the way. So what we would do is after we would have our dessert every night, which you will see along the way on this video, we would just head back to the boat and hang out, relax. It was super peaceful. The cruise director would have some activities planned, like playing cards on the front. But honestly, we would just kind of hang out, enjoy the time, and we would get an early night's sleep because every morning our goal was to wake up, grab a light breakfast in the town itself, and then get on the water and head to our next stop, which our next stop was Brockport.
Brockport. So Brockport was super cool. Well, super cool and kind of like, really? But I understand. So it was the only docking point that we had to pay dock fees. But with the dock fees, you got Wi-Fi, which it's also the only spot you could have Wi-Fi. So we did enjoy that. We that night watched some iPad, some YouTube or something on Netflix. So that was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then we, the one issue we did see is it was a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
A lot of the places that we would want to eat dinner at or we thought would be open for dinner ended up being closed. So we found a barbecue place. It was on Main Street. And that's where we grabbed, we were actually full from our lunch. So we just grabbed one dinner, shared it between the two of us and called it a night.